All right, here's 9-2 day 1. Pretty simple approach today. We're going to perform a couple significance tests from start to finish for proportions. Okay. What we have here is basically what you'll see for the first two steps. In section 1, we talked a lot about the state. You know, you write HO, HA, and then define your parameter. Plan step, still conditions. Random and normal are the two conditions we have to address. One thing I want you to notice here with proportions, because there could be a little point of confusion, you know, when we're doing, 10 successes and 10 failures. That's defined by n times p. Well, we have p and we have p hat. Which is it that we're supposed to use? We use p, and it's largely because by the time we get to the plan step, we're still in position where we're assuming that HO is true, right? And so notice here we'd use P. There's HO. It's important to come back to that concept that until we get to the conclusion and we choose to reject HO, like if or when that happens, but that's the first point in the test where we'd say that we don't believe that HO is true. Up until that point, we've assumed that it is. Okay, so for the normal condition, we have to use P, because technically at that point, we're assuming that P is true. This is more related to your do step. We really have two things that go on. We have to calculate a test statistic, just like a z-score. It's being defined here as to what that looks like. P hat. Now P sub O, this is kind of using some calculator notation. Things get a little bit tricky. There's a lot of P's. You have P hat, you have P, and then you also have the P value. So this P sub O, okay, that's the same as P. That's the parameter. Okay. Again, your book is staying consistent with your calculator. That's what it calls the parameter. And the reason it does is the calculator calls the P value just simply P. So it calls what we would say P sub O. Okay? So just keep that in mind. But statistic minus parameter over the standard deviation of our statistic. We're basically calculating a z-score because this is going to follow what we would call a z-test. Okay? And those are the only two things that we have to have in our do step. Test statistic and a p-value. They'll just kind of I'll show you how it's calculated. The p-value, I mean, you're going to get both from a calculator feature under test. That'll be in a separate tutorial, but check that. I mean, we'll go over it in class, but obviously check that out too. All right, so this has got the whole summary all put together. The state, HO, HA, define your parameters. Plan, it says choose the appropriate inference method. That's where we state the procedure, okay? So far, we'd only had a couple possibilities. In Chapter 8, a 1 proportion Z interval or a 1 sample T interval. Here we add another procedure to what we can do. We'll do two of them today, but it'll be a 1 proportion Z test. Not an interval, but a test. Do step, we just talked about that. Get your test statistic, get your p-value, and then the conclusion. We looked at that quite a bit. Reject, fail to reject, all depends on how the p-value compares to alpha. All right, so here is the first one we'll look at. Context is basically that it's a test to see if performing last. This uses data from American Idol, but you know, pretty universal idea that if it's like a show or any kind of contest that's displaying a talent, is it advantageous to go last? Okay, so we got 600 randomly selected fans. They're shown 12 never-before-seen tapes in random order. Okay, if the order really doesn't matter, we'd expect that, you know, and the tapes are just relatively, you know, if the order really is random, we should say that about 1/12 prefer the last contestant. Okay, we're concerned that it would be higher, so HA says that P is greater than 1/12. So under my plan step, there's my conditions. So here I'd say we have an SRS. This one's a little bit tricky because I have two parts to it. That's got to be true. And this is just as important. It says that the tape order was random. Okay, that one's got a little extra element to it that we have to include that. For normal, N is 600, P is a 12th. I'm just going ahead and calculating these. That's 50. We have 600 times 11/12. Those are both at least 10. Okay, so random condition is met. We're doing a 1 proportion Z test. Random is met. Normal is met. Okay, so now I got two parts down here in my do step. The first is I'm going to calculate my test statistic, which is essentially a Z-score. Okay, and it would look like this. The value for P hat is 59 out of 600. I'll subtract my parameter. And this is over 1/12 times 11/12 over 600. This is where the calculator feature would come in. That like you could go number crunch that, but we typically won't. Okay, because the test feature will give you that. It is 1.33. It'll also give you a p-value with it, which is 0.09186. Okay. Now 1/12 is a decimal. I didn't switch it because I showed the work that I needed to. It's like 0.083. So essentially, we saw from our sample of 600 that if it were all the same, we expected about 8.3% to prefer the last contestant. It was about 9.8, but this all comes back to our p-value, right? Whoops, I had one other thing, by the way, that I almost forgot. Right here, when I'm naming the test, that's where I should choose alpha, okay? If it didn't say, we're just going to go with alpha 0.05, okay? Now, as far as our conclusion goes, our p-value is greater than 0.05. So we will fail. Running out of room here. We are going to fail to reject HO there is not convincing evidence to conclude that it's advantageous to go last. Okay? Our sample did not give us convincing evidence. Remember that one sentence that we state is always about HA. Okay? And if we fail to reject, we basically just say that we're not convinced of HA. If we had rejected HO, then we would. Okay? Then we would. But that's what the full process looks like right there. All right. Got one more here. Counselor at a school has some data about teens and rates of sexting. Kind of thing a guidance counselor could be concerned about if it's leading to some less than desirable consequences. So the center says that from there we're going to treat 20% as a parameter. That it's this type of behavior is going on with about 20% of teens age 13 to 19. Okay. The counselor is concerned at her school that it's higher, right? So now you're seeing HO that it equals 20, P equals 20, HA that P is greater than 0.2, right? That is the concern of the counselor, okay? P is the true proportion of teens at this school that have, it's a pretty wordy parameter, but we'll just summarize it with sexting, okay? It's a one proportion z-test right here. I'm not going to let this one sneak by me again. It almost did on the last one. That is where I should state alpha, and that when you're naming the procedure, that part is required, that we've got to state that, okay? $250 students. N times P, let's see, N is 250. P is 0.2. That's 50. This is the part I was mentioning earlier, that you have to use P. Right, because at this point, it's a good time to talk about this actually. At this point in the test, right, you go back to HO, which it's always worth repeating, that we're assuming is true. Okay? So as far as her concern of this rate being higher at her school, we're not saying we're convinced of it yet. We're testing it and we think it might be, but right now we're assuming that it's 0.2. Those are both at least 10. All right, do step. Again, 2 items. I need a test statistic, which basically you don't have to draw the picture of the curve, but what's going on is this z-score is telling you, if you were to standardize your sampling distribution, as to about where you are. In the if we were right at 0, that means we're right at the center. Okay, so now this one is HA is a greater than, so we'll use the p-value for our conclusion, but if you're starting to think about evidence against HO, it's going to start to show up in the form of a large z-score. Keeping in mind, large z-scores are about 3, right? If we get something that's like 2 or 3, that could be some evidence that perhaps we're going to reject HO. Now we need a value for p hat. In her survey, she found 63 out of 250. That's 0.252, right? Which fits her suspicions that she thought at her school that the rate was higher. At this point, what we're testing, is it significant? You know, because it came from a sample of 250 and not a census. Can we say that we're convinced this is the case for the whole school? There's the parameter. So notice on this one, our test statistic is a little higher. It's up over 2, meaning this is really the one of the possibilities that we're testing. Could it be at her school that the rate really is 0.2 and she got an abnormally large statistic of 0.25? Okay. We're like, if that were the case, we're like 2 standard deviations above the mean. There's our p-value of 0.0199. Okay, different story here. The p-value is less than 0.05. So we reject the null hypothesis, and here we'd say, because my last sentence is going to be about HA. Okay, but now when I'm thinking about HA, it's going to it's going to directly reflect what we just said. We just rejected HO. Okay, so we think, at least we're convinced, HO is not true. That means we think that HA is. Okay, so as far as this rate, in terms of the counselor's concerns about, again, the parameter is there about electronically sending or posting suggestive images. We're convinced that it's higher. Okay, so we'll say that we have convincing evidence that P is actually greater than 0.2. Okay, in context as it says. So you've got one of each. Okay, as far as the conclusion, the one before we failed to reject, so you saw how the conclusion states we're not convinced of HA. And here, we had a p-value less than 0.05, so we had stated that we are convinced of HA.